Hi, Chris Fox, Fox Construction, Tailored Custom Homes. We're here because we're trying to get you as much information as you need to be able to make an informed decision and to be able to be in the home that you really love and enjoy. Hey everybody, Chris Fox, Tailored Custom Homes. I'm here with Tony Vallee, McWhorter Vallee Design, and we're going to go over a lot of great things today for architectural design and what people are really interested in on the 30A and Emerald Coast. Tony, appreciate you coming.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
I want to start out, what should homeowners know before meeting the architect?
Before meeting the architect, it's always good to get a scope of what you're trying to accomplish with your project.
Right.
What's important at the beginning is get the list down to the essentials. What's really important to me? What's going to improve my quality of life? What's going to make it better for me and my family to enjoy the property, if it's for me and my family? If it's for me as an investment, understanding that, hey, this is an investment, I need to maximize value, and I do have a checklist of items in terms of bed counts and things like that. That's important. So understanding the purpose, why you're doing this project, why you're building this home, is it your forever home? Is it an investment? You know, understanding all those things and balancing it out on the front end is really important, and that'll help provide guidance to your team in helping you accomplish your goals.
Okay, so if somebody is buying it or building it as a secondary home that they're going to enjoy, but they're also looking to rentals, so you would say prioritize what they want in the home for the short run, and then anything that they can add in. Let's say you don't grill, but you know, an outdoor kitchen's a good feature to have. You'd still try to put it, but it wouldn't necessarily be the highest priority. So if you're not able to get it, it still works out.
Correct. Or look at it in terms of, you know, this is important to me now, but I really want to get here later. Understanding that will let you plan on the front end for how to address that. Because we could, you know, like if you're going to age in place, what we'll do is, you don't want to put an elevator today, but you want to have an elevator eventually. So what we'll do is we'll do a closet. It's the size of your elevator shaft. We'll stack another closet above it. And then 10 years down the road, when it's yours and you get rid of the renters and you might need an elevator, we just empty out the closet, throw in the elevator, and you've got it.
Right.
Also, it can create a valuable asset later in resale because if it is transitioning to a permanent market rather than a rental market, you know, having something like that is a good feature to have for people.
Absolutely. All right. What does an architect bring when designing and building a custom home?
Depending on your goals, and if it is a custom home, what you want is customization, personalization, accomplishing my needs and goals. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what the purpose of the project is. And with that, you create a list of needs and wants. Also, you know, a personalized flair, personalized taste, aesthetic. You know, some architects can work in multiple styles. Some architects are very specific in what they do. The important thing is to have an idea of where you need to go, what you want to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and then again, it all ties in. That's what the architects do. They take that plan and then they implement that plan, and then work with the contractor to execute that plan.
Okay. How much does it cost to hire an architect for a custom home?
So pricing with architects can vary greatly. You can go anywhere from a drafting style of individual that will be around, that could be as little as $2 a square foot. Typically what you'd have is something based on the size and cost and the complexity. You know, so if it's something, you know, mid-sized, you know, 2, maybe even 3-story home on our smaller lot sizes, you know, you could be looking at $35,000 to $45,000, you know, at the bottom end, at absolute minimum. Or you could be looking at something where it's just a fixed percentage, which is not uncommon at all. And that can vary anywhere from, you know, on the very low end, 5%, to 12, even 15%.
And that's a cost of construction, correct?
Cost of construction. And that won't include the land. That's just how much your contractor is going to charge you. At that point, you'd be paying a percentage based on that. It's going to vary depending on the scope of the services and the type of project. If it's a new construction, small home, no ARB, it's going to cost less. If it's a larger home, or if you even have a small home with an ARB and there's restrictions, now there's more meetings, there's more time, there's rules that you have to follow, and your architect is basically helping you find ways around the rules to get what you want, or just work within the rules to get what you want, to be clear, because you want to be a good neighbor, but you also want what you want. So the cost varies, and new construction is going to be less than renovation, because on renovations you have to document the existing, work around the existing, and so it gets it gets very time consuming. People ask me a lot is, well, when do I need an architect? And, or when should I start talking to architects? Like before you buy your property. It drives me crazy when people come to me and it's like, well, I want to do this. It's like, that's great. You got the wrong property. You got the wrong neighborhood. You know, it's like the vibe in this neighborhood isn't matching the vibe of what you're telling me. And so understanding that is really important.
I preach that all the time, that, you know, you got to get your team together, because exactly what you're saying, I can't tell you how many times there's been people that have come to me and they've said, okay, well, we're looking to build. It's like, well, have you talked to anybody? Well, we talked to our realtor. Well, you know, is there an architect involved? And they're like, well, no, you know, we bought the lot, and watercolor specific. Like this was more when there was more lots available, but they would hate the color palette of the neighborhood that they bought, because watercolor is, you know, 1,000 lots, but they broke it up into individual neighborhoods. And there's a neighborhood right here, they're on the edge of it, 3 doors down, they love that color, they want to use it, but it's not in their color palette. And they didn't understand that, they didn't talk to enough people. So that's really like to, you know, firm up what you're saying, getting your team together. All right, what features are people requesting the most in coastal homes right now?
So there's definitely a checklist, because everyone is trying to do their own pool. There is a great value in that, especially if you're near the beach. But they've gotten very small, you know.
Cocktail pools.
And if we have to, we get into the rooftop pools. Fireplaces still seem to be an item that everyone wants. The slimmer profile doors and windows, so you can expand the views. We've seen more glass railings over the years, more of the horizontal cable or solid railings, just because you can maximize the views at that point when it's coastal.
Right.
Other than that, the bigger trend in our market, well, let's say over the last 30 years, I've been doing this for a while now, has been the change in bedroom sizes. You know, so we've kind of pivoted from it's a rental, so we don't need a large bedroom. A master back then was, hey, you can get the 12 foot, you got a master. Now we're doing 12 foot, you know, standard bedrooms, kids' bedrooms, and secondary bedrooms with their own bath. That wasn't the case back then.
They're all en suites.
Closets, because more people are living here now, so we are seeing a little bit more of an increase in closet sizes. We're transitioning between a rental and a permanent, where we have owners that, you know, I think I'm gonna live in this one, so I need this to be here, but right now I'm gonna use it as office space, or let's make it a gym for now, and then later I'll make it closet.
Yeah.
But it's flexible, that's correct.
Yeah.
What we run into issues though is that these associations, parking's a big problem in our market. Having someone on board early on will help you facilitate, you know, that decision, because you'll run out of, it's like, well, I want 10 bedrooms. It's like, well, you have enough house, but you don't have enough parking.
Right.
So a lot of times, where, you know, the tail is wagging the dog, where the parking is determining how much you can do. Understanding if you're doing a rental on the front end is also very important, because the county has implemented that rental ordinance, which has a different parking requirement itself.
Well, that's one of the things that when, you know, I've talked to people in the past, you're talking about parking, is, you know, the biggest complaint is that so many of these houses don't have enough parking. And, you know, they're right now for, you know, the generic Walton County is 900 square feet per parking spot. So if you have a 9,000 square foot house, you need 10 parking spots. You know, even with a 3-car garage, it still means you have 7 outside of it. And then everybody starts complaining. The new complaint is, well, we have parking lots. It's like, well, what were you expecting? You know, you were telling them they needed 10 parking spots. They gave them to you, but now you have no landscaping. And now people are worried about, because they're turning, you know, some of these houses, even, you know, a 4,500 square foot house, you know, is still going to need 5 parking spots. And a 4,500 square foot house probably doesn't have a 3-car garage. It's a 1 or 2-car garage. So you still have, you know, 3 to 4 parking spots outside. So, you know, you're stacking cars, and, you know, we all know that rentals typically don't have a lot of garage parking. They might be available, but a lot of times it's used for, you know, a golf cart, or, you know, storage for all the pool equipment and whatnot. So yeah, it becomes a problem, and then you lose some of that landscaping, which is one of the big things that, you know, I hate to see, is that we sacrifice that, and then so much of the storm water, we have to go underneath the ground with it, and that becomes bigger and expensive. But, you know, at the same token, we're not having so many people stacked along the road. How long does it take to go from conceptual to construction-ready plans? No, it's a kind of loaded question. But.
Yeah, that varies dramatically. So, you know, there's cases where it could be a 3-month process. There's actually cases where it could be a couple of weeks. So, if you have a home that is available and I can just sell it as a reuse, and so we have something that's ready to go, I just have to adapt it to your site. As long as you don't have any changes, it might be ready to go right now. The downside is it's not really customized for you, but it cuts your costs drastically, and it cuts your time drastically.
Right.
So you can save time and money going that route. If not, then it's really just about the complexity of the home, the complexity of the program, your needs, and then the DRB and how difficult they are to deal with. There are some neighborhoods where you'd just be in a DRB for 3 months, no choice. Wild Heron. If you're in Wild Heron, there's 3 reviews and there's a preliminary meeting. It'd take you 3 months just to be in the process, much less getting anything drawn and done.
Right. What would you say the size, the length of time for a 3,500 square foot house with a pool, no tower, and a couple of extra dazzle features in it? Maybe a wine room or something. Rough order of magnitude. I understand. Like if somebody sends you, back to the drawing board 8 times, it doesn't count. But on a standard.
3 to 4 months is not unreasonable. Once there's a slot available to begin.
Right. So if somebody contacts you today and you're a month out, so you're saying, potentially 3 months and then 3 months review. So from the time that they contact you, they own the lot, have the survey, everything's ready. You're saying, 7 months you could be 100% ready for permit.
Yeah, you should be. That's not unreasonable. And a lot of our stuff varies in that, kind of that 6 month range through the whole process. But again, it really varies. It varies wildly depending on a lot of factors. One of the ones I run into is that folks get indecisive, or you have multiple family members that have different views. You have joint ownership with other siblings. Right. It gets complicated, and so I end up with things that I call zombie projects. It's like they're just kind of floating. They're waiting for decisions, and then they'll be back, and they'll go away, and they'll be back, and so. It's disruptive, but it's just part of the process. Sometimes you can't avoid it.
People are really visual. So once you get to that, construction documents phase, people, even though it's still drawings, it's not in 3D, they're able to see it better. How do you work with clients to try to bring that level of vision in the sketch phase where, I've heard it called bubble diagrams and all kinds of stuff. How do you assist them to be able to see better when it is easier to move?
If we're doing something that's very diagrammatic, I'll try to do a thumbnail or find something that's kind of an inspiration piece, something that's similar but not the same,
right? So
they can understand the feel. The way we used to work would be we would do those as hand drawings on trace or vellum, and then we would have one just rough perspective, just pencil perspective that we would do. Nowadays, it's changed a little bit. I still do that in my sketchbook. That's how I work early on. But once we're dealing with the client now, we work in a 3D model. Everything we do is actually a 3D model. So from day one, so we can show you a massing, and it depends on what I feel the client can understand. So not everyone has the same visual astuteness, and not everyone can look at a drawing and understand it. A lot of people can't read a floor plan and get a feel for it. Even people that think they do don't. So a lot of times. So I have to show them that in a different medium. Right. So I try to identify a different medium that will make sense for them. If they've got 100 Pinterest, pins, I'll work with them in that medium. To try to explain it to them. If they can understand a floor plan, I'll just show them a floor plan and I won't worry about it. Some people need a model where I do a physical model. We haven't done a lot of those lately, and that is going to be in the full custom range, or you're going to be paying for it separately. Right. But I just have to kind of gauge it on the individual. At the end of the day. Cool. And what they can relate to.
All right. What design decisions have the biggest impact on cost when building a home?
When you buy it, the lot. Honestly, it's like the biggest impact you can have on a project is the site selection. If you put something on the beach and it's behind the coastal control line, it probably cut 10% of that beachfront cost down. Right. But as soon as you touch that line or cross that line, you've added not just pilings but very deep pilings and
auger cast,
blowout walls. Site selection is your first cost, and it even goes to the neighborhood. If I'm building in watercolor, I've got one cost. If I'm building in rosemary, Today,
Right.
my cost is different than when Rosemary was first being built out. When first it was being built out, there was empty lots, there was space, there was room to park. There's no room to park now. You need coordination, you need off-site logistical support where you have warehouses close by. Your subs are accustomed to dealing with that environment. They understand they can't just pull up in front of the house and not get tickets and towed away and get the job shut down.
You can't have 6 different painters and 6 different vehicles.
And that has a cost.
Right.
A big cost. Now, it's still worth it to build and renovate in those communities.
No,
otherwise,
absolutely.
we wouldn't do it.
People are making tons of money or increasing the value significantly by doing it.
Yeah. So it's still worthwhile. But where you're buying, that's ultimately your biggest cost driver.
Okay. How do you design a home that fits the lot, setbacks, and local building restrictions while keeping the client's request in line?
You know, I live here. This is my community.
Right.
So at the end of the day, there are things that I just don't think are responsible to do. I wouldn't design it or show you something that's irresponsible. But I have had requests that get pretty out there in terms of trying to just maximize something to the point that it's detrimental to the neighborhood. Just because the law allows it doesn't mean we should do it. We want quality work, not just, maxing out square footages.
Right.
We understand the regulations, not just to get through the process and help you navigate the process, but also because there is a visual quality to our community that we need to maintain. I'm not going to show you anything that would violate it. And if you're asking me for something that does, I'll explain why it would be a problem, or if there's an option to work around it, or how we can accomplish it in a different way that doesn't violate it. My job, the way I see it, is to go beyond that. That's the minimum. The building code and planning requirements are the least you could do legally.
Right.
That's it. It's not a standard.
Right.
It's like anyone that just comes up to you and say, "Oh, we built a code house." Like we always get there. It's like, great, you're not breaking the law. You didn't kill anybody. Congratulate. You want a cookie for that?
Right.
If that's the bar,
Right.
yeah, you don't need us. I mean, we're doing great work. You're doing great work, and you're getting that work and continuing to do that work because the community is successful.
Right.
And the community can't be successful if we're just allowing anything. So it's go beyond the basics, go beyond the minimum. We'll help you get where you want. We'll help you get what you're looking for, but there's a way to do it and still be a good neighbor.
No, I agree. All right. Well, Tony, I very much appreciate it, and thank y'all for listening to us today, and look forward to the next one.
Thanks, it's always good.
All right.